We're going to get into the list of players that the Spurs have shown interest in a second, but before we do, we had a Manu Ginobili sighting at the NBA Combine. This gets me jacked. If you recall, towards the final stretch of last season, Manu's presence with the team was felt. He was appearing at courtside at games and walking in with the team into the locker room after the games. This raises the question for me, has the Manu era officially begun? It's not like he hasn't been around, but to be involved to this extent where he's at the Combine is very encouraging for the program to me. I cannot wait to see what his imprint will be. He's one of the most fiercest competitors to ever participate in sports, period. There's a reason why he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Having him around to evaluate the potential in this upcoming draft class should bode well for the Spurs. The idea of Manu watching Combine events, participating in interviews, and mentoring freshly picked talent is something that the organization needs. After his brief sabbatical, it seems that his love for the game has pulled him back in. Let's hope for a little Manu magic. Another thing we got to talk about is Mitch Johnson, assistant NBA coach, is at the Combine, putting in that work, doing what he needs to do to build himself up to be the best head coach that he can be in the future. Shout out to Coach Mitch Johnson. So let's talk about what's going on in the pre-draft workouts and interviews. We're going to break it down into guards, forwards, and then who we interviewed at the Combine this year. So far, the Spurs have either had a workout or interviewed with Quervion Smith, Ty Washington, Johnny Davis, Amal Bienmi, Alex Barciello, Michael DeVoe, and Keon Ellis. So Johnny Davis had something to say at the Combine when asked about the Spurs. This comes from Tom Osborne. Johnny Davis was asked at the Combine who interviewed with the Spurs on Wednesday on the possibility of them taking him at number 9. Johnny says, obviously playing under Coach Popovich, the most famous coach in NBA history, is something I would really want to happen. Johnny Davis is a 6'5" shooting guard who can really light it up from the mid-range. Shot 30% from the three-point line. Not all that great, but he is a bucket at 42% from the field. The Spurs also interviewed point guard 6'3" out of Kentucky, freshman Ty Washington, freshman shooting guard 6'3" out of NC State, Quervion Smith, shooting guard Alex Barciello out of BYU. Let's talk about the forwards that the Spurs have met with. The Spurs have interviewed or worked out Terry Eason, Gabriel Procida, Jeremy Sokan, Ousmane Dieng, Jalen Wilson, Dominic Barlow, and Darius Days. Terry Eason said Spurs interviewed him yesterday. I see their player development and how they do things, and I really like them as a team. They've been on my radar for a while. Jeremy Sokan had something to say as well. He said he interviewed with the Spurs and said it was crazy shaking hands with Manu. Great energy. He said his session with Brian Wright and company, that they were all very cool. Now, both of these guys should be there at 9. I'm not too sure if they'll be there at 20. We'll have to wait and see. They also interviewed France natives Ousmane Dieng, who's a 6'9" small forward out of New Zealand, playing in the NBL. And also they interviewed Gabriel Procida, who is a 6'7" shooting guard / small forward out of Italy. Italian 6'7" swingman Gabriel Procida with Fortitude Bologna told me that the Spurs interviewed him today. One of the staffers picking his brain, Manu Ginobili. We talked in Italian. It was great to meet him, said Procida, a projected second rounder. The Spurs also have met with small forward Harrison Ingram out of Stanford, freshman. This is coming from Noah Magaro-George. The Spurs met with the following players during the NBA Draft Combine last week: Patrick Baldwin Jr., MARJORN BEAUCHAMP, and John Butler Jr. Each of these players should be available outside the lottery, and San Antonio owns the 20th and 25th pick. So Patrick Baldwin Jr. is a freshman out of Milwaukee, small forward, 6'10". MARJORN BEAUCHAMP is out of the G League Ignite, 6'6" shooting guard. And John Butler is a 7'1" power forward / center out of Florida State. The numbers are pretty limited. He's very raw, but at 7'1", he's an interesting prospect for sure.